Hey everyone, I can hardly believe that it's already the end of March in time for the monthly fragrance awards. If you're newer to the channel, I've been doing this video for a number of years just to share my reflections on the fragrances that I wore over the month and put them into made-up award categories for our perfume entertainment. And I can't believe that tomorrow is April Fool's Day. Are you a jokester, a prankster? Do you play pranks on your family, your friends, your coworkers? Do let us know the juicy details of what you have planned down below. And before we jump into this month's fragrances, for those of you that enjoy shopping So Avant Garde, I posted a video on Friday about a weekend sale using the code Veronica30. And there's Veronica40 for a select number of brands that are described in that video description box. I'll link that below. If you're interested in shopping, the sale ends tonight. So I wanted to let you know about that. And I wanted to let you know about my fantastic fragrance of the day. It's a very casual day. I'm filming on the Saturday before I post this. And, I just ran to the grocery store today, did some errands outside of the house, did some things in the house, and I'm filming for you all. And what better fragrance to wear than something that feels cozy, yet fresh and clean at the same time? This is called What We Do in Paris is Secret. I purchased this a while back, and either I just noticed or re-noticed that it's by one of my favorite perfumers, Dominique Ropion, also the creator of Amarige, and a number of other beautiful, highly feminine fragrances that I absolutely adore. I think this is a powdery vanilla that has a level of comfort and grace and sophistication to it while being super cozy. The primary notes for me are a delicate powderiness, vanilla. There's a slight level of citrus here to add like some brightness and freshness to the fragrance, and it feels really cozy, second skin, and easygoing, and I've enjoyed wearing this. The first category is the best for the season. I love both the bottle and just the whole concept of this fragrance. I'm choosing DONNA, noting that it's March and you have some cool days in this month, also some warm days. It's kind of a mix here in Central Virginia. I think this is one of those classic timeless beauties. In fact, I'm considering doing a video just titled Timeless Beauties or Classic Beauties. Would you be interested in something like that? The scent profile here is one that I think would be appealing through the ages, and I can see it also having been worn in the past. This particular fragrance, at least according to Fragrantica, was released in 2011. The notable features of this are an opening of fresh, juicy, yet sweet citrus. Sometimes citrus in fragrance can take a tart angle or maybe even a sour tone, depending on the kinds of citruses that are used. Here, the citruses are juicy and sweet. They almost smell a little bit like citrus juice that has been sweetened up, kind of, sorta. A very sort of lush citrus. The heart of the fragrance is floral. There's jasmine and African orange flower. You have some woody tones in the base, and I believe there's vanilla in this fragrance also, and maybe a slight hint of powderiness. Overall, very elegant, sophisticated, and I think mass appealing. It's a fragrance that you can wear to any occasion. I can't imagine anyone disliking this on someone. I do also appreciate this general sort of austere bottle shape. I consider this to be like shoulder pads on an outfit. And then this sort of helmet cap with the emblem on it, same emblem that you see on the bottle. Fantastic fragrance. This house in general, Trussardi, I think is underrated and worth checking out, particularly this one and the bottles that have the greyhound looking head on them. In the category of best everyday, I have two. One that I talked about in a video recently, so I'll be quick about that one. But I wanted to mention first ELYSIUM from Roja. So this is a bottle that I have shared. I hesitated purchasing. It was super expensive when it came out on the market. I actually purchased this in one of the So Avant Garde sales, and it is available on the website now. This has a cacophony, like this entire orchestra of notes that bring you essentially something that is fresh, floral, shampooy, slightly soapy, and even has, stay with me here, if you enjoy the smell of fresh plastic, I don't mean this in a bad way, this is actually a good thing, there's like a little bit of a hint of that in here. I think this is the fragrance that has been compared to Beyond Paradise from Estee Lauder, and I get the comparison, not identical, but there's something about the sort of fresh purple and white florals that are in Beyond Paradise. If you remember, that one had this like a teardrop looking bottle and an ombre effect on it and was really sort of big for its time period. It has that kind of floral, fresh, like hair product kind of smell. There are some fruity aspects to the fragrance. Also, I'm looking at the notes here. Vanilla, musk, woodiness in the base, but really just fresh. It's like a fancy fresh. Oh my gosh. Wasn't that the name of like a cat food? I don't mean to associate this with cat food. I'm sorry. Nothing like that, but it is a fancy fresh smell. You feel very light and pretty wearing this. And I think it is projecting and mass appealing, although it does get softer as the day goes on. Very pretty bottle with the ombre effect. In fact, this reminds me a little bit of the new Kayali, or the Kayali reminds me of it. That Fleur, Rose, Majesty, Royale, whatever the entire full name is of that Kayali. Similar sort of ombre effect. That one goes purple and this one gets bluer on the bottom. It also reminds me of some old school Victoria's Secret scent a little bit. If you've ever used Body, B-O-D-Y, back in the 90s when that was popular, there's an aspect of this that reminds me of that same sort of fresh shampoo-y smell. I really, really like this. Speaking of fresh shampoo-y scents, my second choice for best everyday fragrance is my Burberry blush from Burberry. Love the substantial bottle on this, the creative top, and the little pink, tie on the scent here. This is floral and it has a little bit of like maybe even like a sour tart type of fruity note to it. Sort of akin to L'Impératrice Royale. If you've tested that new one, the same kind of fruity tart sourness that's in there is similar here. And this never really gets heavy. It stays light on the skin. Fairly easygoing. I think it's likable and pretty. You do have to enjoy that type of sour tart. Sorry that I keep saying sour and tart because I think it's kind of both. Fruity aspect. Rose, I believe, is the key note in terms of the florals. And it feels to me like this has some kind of musk to help it as a base, to help create some oomph and longevity to this. But it's an easy reach and it's affordable. By the way, as usual, all of the fragrances will be linked down in the description box if you care to shop through there. And if you do, thank you so much. The special occasion category is one that you either really enjoy or you just don't understand what all the hype is about. It's newer. This is from Hermes. It's called BARENIA. So not only did this fragrance last all day beyond when my nose could detect it, like there's a point in the day, at least with most fragrances, not all, where I become a little bit nose blind to what I have on, even though other people can smell it. And that's the case with many people. But my husband continued to walk into my office and just go, man, that smells amazing. Remind me what you have on again. This is a super unique fragrance and rather daring. The way I would describe this fragrance is both floral and fruity at the top. Gosh, this is so good. I would describe this fragrance as having like this dry floral fruitiness at the top, and it's something in like the plummy berry direction. It's a rather juicy fruity note. However, it comes across dry at the same time. I know that sounds like a paradox. Like how can something be juicy and dry at the same time? It just is. It works that way here. Whatever florals in here are very fresh and probably white florals. And then there's this interesting dry down that is simultaneously sweet and woody and deep and intriguing. I consider this to be an alluring fragrance and also commanding at the same time. It is really quite a confident fragrance, or you need to feel confident when you wear this. It's big, it's bold, not offensive though at all. I can't imagine anyone disliking this in the air. I can't imagine people not wanting to smell like this because it is a little bit different. So one that I would say check out first. So again, this sort of plummy, plummy, berry-like sweetness, clean, crisp, white floral combination there at the top, and it's dry in some way, and then it dries down woody and with a hint of patchouli to it as well. Fabulous. Really, really unique, interesting release. If you don't want to smell like everyone else, if you're that person that wants to be unique, definitely get your nose on BARENIA. The category of sexiest, and maybe depending on who you ask, the last one and this one could be switched in categories. I'm going with Via CAVOUR I from Xerjoff. This is the newest Xerjoff addition to the perfume family over here in this house. Ooh, this is what I would call a very mature, sexy fragrance. It reminds me somewhat, hang with me here, of Guerlain Gourmand Cocon, that fragrance. It has some similarities. This one is even sort of deeper and sultrier than that one. Well, I guess I shouldn't compare the two fragrances, but the sort of chocolate effect, it's like a perfumey, really sophisticated chocolate scent is in kind of both of these. I would say they're similar. This has a good dose of a rose patchouli combo, and the edges off of the rose and the patchouli are filed down until they're just as smooth as can be. The base notes here include oud, caramel, vanilla, amber, cashmere, musk. The general effect to me is a deep ambery vanilla, maybe some touches of musk, and I still detect the patchouli on the dry down in the most sophisticated, rounded way. The fragrance is robust in nature. It has a little bit of mystery to it, very feminine, very sultry, warm and inviting and sexy at the same time via CAVOUR I. In the category of biggest surprise, I am going to go with Gritti TUTU BLANC. And the reason I say that is I remember sampling this maybe 2 years ago and thinking it was pleasant, but didn't seem to project or last long. And so why pay all that money for the bottle? Da-da-da-da-da-da. This was recently sent to me by So Avant Garde to try out. But I have also purchased a ton of Gritti fragrances on my own and spent quite a pretty penny on this house. The reason that this is a surprise is because my initial impression of it prevented me from purchasing it, although I thought it was pretty. And here I am trying it and realizing that this actually lasts quite a long time. How do I know that? This is another one where my husband just kept telling me throughout the day how pretty I smelled. And here's the shocking part, the real surprise. The next morning when I put my robe on to get up, he said, "Ooh, your robe smells like that pretty fragrance you had on yesterday." And it was this. So the notes here are a little bit confusing in terms of what you get because I don't really pick up a whole lot of this in the fragrance. Pink grapefruit, black currant, coconut, and apple at the top. Some florals and heliotrope in the middle, and in the base, raspberry, vanilla, amber, and musk. So definitely musk. I feel like that is a prominent feature of the fragrance. And then there's this gentle fruitiness. And I think some people would think that this is a glorified body spray, like Bath & Body Works fruity body spray with musk added. I see that, and I can understand that. And I raise you that this has this level of sweet creaminess to it, longevity, depth and complexity that develops over time as you're wearing it. And so this surprised me. I didn't realize that it lasted so long, and I'm glad that it is in the collection now and that it is approved in this house. So biggest surprise, TUTU BLANC. In the category of favorite blind buy and one of my favorite tuberose fragrances, I think this has made it to the worst bottle category once or twice, and this is Wild Python from Mancera. I mean, if this isn't one of the tackiest bottles that does not represent what the fragrance smells like. If you've been with me for a while, I've joked around about this being like my Peggy Bundy bottle. But man, this fragrance is so pretty. There's this sort of peachy, apricot-y type of note at the top, and it actually kind of stays throughout. This very sort of gentle, powdery musk, tuberose, and I forget what else is in the perfume, but it's sweet and it's floral, a little fruity, a little musky, lasts forever and ever, forever, ever. This is a powerhouse tuberose and very feminine, and I think sexy too. This could have been the sexiest for the month as well. Really enjoy this, and it's been in my collection for a good while. I started my channel in December of 2020. I think I purchased this in early 2021, and it's been sticking around since. As you can see, you don't need a lot. A few sprays of this will be just fine for the entire day. Just trust me on that. I'm not going to even read you the notes for the next one, but I do want to tell you about it. Well, maybe I'll tell you a note or two. This is in the category of not a safe blind buy. It's one that I splurged on for myself for my birthday from ELYSIUM REFLET sur le Covango. I've raved and raved about this in videos, especially at the end of last year and the top of this year. So I won't go on and on, except to say the reason that this isn't a safe blind buy is because you'll likely have to purchase it at full price or very little discount. This isn't one that, at least as of the time that I'm filming this, that I know of, has shown up on deep discount anywhere. I think it is up in the high 200s, almost pushing 3 if I'm not mistaken. And it's pricey. And while I love the fragrance, I think this is one that I do think many people will love it, and there will be a group of people that will probably think this is just too almost like laundry perfumey for them. So there's supposed to be a prominent acacia note, but here's what I get to me. Oh, this is just, let me have a minute, y'all. It's so freaking pretty. I'll tell you, if you've ever tried Tilia from Marc-Antoine Berrois, it's got some similar vibes to that. This gives me the same kind of fresh, clean linen laundry vibes that white linen from Estee Lauder does. Although imagine that incredibly toned down, the floral part of it amped up, some sweetness and roundness and powderiness added to it, and like a splash of goldenness. And here you go. Reflet sur le Covango. Divine fragrance. I mean, I adore this. Enjoyed it the day that I wore it. I treasure this, and I treasure the memory that I associate with this. That's in previous videos, so I don't want to go on and on. Not a safe blind buy, very expensive, very particular scent, but I find it to be divine. Clean, floral, golden, uplifting. It's like the best of a sunny day. The best of a sunny day. I can't believe I'm going to put this fragrance in the overhyped category. I think maybe I've even overhyped this a little bit. Maybe. So let me just say, I like this and it's not going anywhere, at least not anytime soon. But as I wore CHERE from Mizensir, I had this like, okay, this is nice, but is it as nice as I've been saying that it is? I just had that moment. Without looking at the notes, my guess would be that this had something that smells like the strawberry note in some other fragrances. You know, strawberry is like a fantasy note. There's like a fluffiness, a sweetness, maybe even a raspberry tone to this. Florals in the middle, and then a woody base. Slight bit of musky tones as well. It is pretty. It's pretty girl pretty. I think I was expecting perhaps a little bit more depth when I wore it. You know, this is one that I have tried before. I have sampled. I've had plenty of samples of it and worn several samples of it here and there. But when I did the full day wear of this fragrance this month, it was lacking, I guess, a little bit of the depth that I had hoped for. And I guess that's all I will say. It is still pretty. It's still light and fluffy and fun to wear, but maybe not quite as substantive as I was imagining it from the samples. That is all. So that is why this is in the Overhyped category. You're going to see one of the sisters from this brand in just a minute. In the category of hidden gem, let me tell you something. Sorry, I had to do it. For those of you that enjoy green fragrances and you can imagine like a tropical flair in a green fragrance, or maybe a tropical fragrance with a green flair, depending on how you experience this, this is a little bit of a treasure from the brand called Botanicae, which I also discovered through So Avant Garde. This one is called MERAKI. I hope I said that right. I looked it up. It's supposed to be like a Greek god or something, some Greek mythological term or mythology, Greek mythology, mythological. What am I talking about? Okay, I know exactly what this reminds me of. Oh my gosh, I just got it. For those of you that have tried Vele from Tiziano Terenzi, it's got a green and tropical flair in it. That same flair is here. Not the same fragrance, but that sort of part of Vele shows up in this fragrance as well. So it's like a lush but soft and subtle greenness. And I pick up tropical fruits. I would guess something like mango and passion fruit and maybe even guava. And then something woody and perhaps a little musky in the base. This is a chunky fragrance. It's got some heft to it. It wore very well on my skin. I found it to be very smooth and great here for warm weather. I mean, year round in terms of the thickness, the viscosity, the density of this fragrance, but it's just lovely. It's got that same sort of whatever it is in Vele that made us fall in love with that fragrance, because that one is in my top 10. This has that same kind of flair to it. Just lovely and different. You're not going to smell like anyone else wearing this fragrance. And I think people are going to ask you what you're wearing. So think a little bit of lush greenness, a lot of sort of tropical mango-y kind of flair to it. I mean, I wouldn't call out a mango note per se, but that same kind of tropical flair, maybe even something a little coconutty. I haven't looked at the notes for a while, so forgive me. I might have the notes completely wrong. I'm just sharing with you how this smells to me and that I really, really enjoyed wearing this. It was a nice surprise. Category of worth hunting down, and I mentioned before that this was sent to me by one of our fragrance friends out here, Maria, who has a channel, Hey Girl Hey, and I think about her when I look at this bottle, and I thought about her when I wore this, so thank you. This is such a sweet present. Sweet Diamond Pink Pepper 25 from Kayali. Wow, just such a pretty, peppery, and pink pepper. So pink pepper is a little bit more flirty. It has like a softer, more flirtier spice to it than black pepper, which I tend to associate with masculine tones. Pink pepper has like, I don't know, a feminine edge to it, a soft rose, and I believe there's a lot of vanilla in this fragrance. It feels like it has that nice vanillic base to it, and rose, maybe even peony in the middle, highly feminine. There's a powdery aspect to this as well. So rosy, pink peppery, powdery, vanillic, amazing, very feminine, long lasting, very projecting, and I think crowd pleasing as well, and hard to find. So this is discontinued if I'm not mistaken. At least, y'all, it's not on the Sephora website anymore. By the way, my Sephora video is coming up soon. That sale starts this Friday. I'll probably post that either like Thursday night or first thing Friday morning for those of us that are crazy and like to shop right away, because I'm one of those people. Hope you find something in that video that is appealing to you. Anyway, this is worth hunting down, particularly for rose lovers. And if you like the idea of like a powdery vanillic rose, really, really quite special. Category of best bottle, I really, really like these Bvlgari bottles. There's something stately, unique, and interesting about this shape. It looks the same on, on both sides here. It's like these, again, like the Trussardi bottle. It's like these are really defined shoulders on someone sophisticated. If I remember correctly, there are 2 formulations of this, or at least we think there are. The original, which this one is, and then there's like a Splendida version, which is I think the newer line. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, that's my understanding. It's just such an enveloping, cozy, soft, almost almondy jasmine. I believe there's myrrh here. This is sultry, cozy, enveloping, beautiful sweater. It's like sweater weather elevated. You want to have a sweater weather fragrance and have that beautiful feminine touch from a gorgeous jasmine note. It's called Jasmine Noir, so you think about wearing this in the evening. Of course, I wore it during the day, but it's just so delightful and so precious to me. I don't know if this is still on the market. If it is, I will try to find a link for you and it'll be down in the description box. I'm about to hear on this one and I'm treasuring it. It's lovely. In the category of worst bottle, and I'm noticing I didn't bring it into the filming room with me, so I'll put up a picture. I think it's called Take 2. I think it's called Cap Dantibe. So, I gotta get it. Let me get it for you. Hang on. All right, friends, do not laugh at me. And don't laugh at the bottle. It can hear you talking about it. This is Cap Dantibe from Badgley, Miscka. So, I liked when I saw this on the website, and I do like them in person, but I also think that there's something kind of hideous about this. So this is like a plastic, I guess they're called plastic resin tops. I'm not sure what the manufacturing term is for it. And you can see the line right here, you know, from the manufacturing process or the mold of it, where there's a line from the mold. I think I'm like equal parts fascinated and repulsed by this top. I have another one from this brand that has a pink top on it that's quite pretty. Anyway, I do like the bottles overall, so I got to give them credit for like putting the ring on the neck or whatever you call this. Maybe the collar is the name for it, with the stamped name in it. Like, you know, as I've said before, those types of things cost in the manufacturing process. And I do appreciate that it's a unique top, but I think many people would find this hideous. And there are days that I think it's hideous and days that I'm like, man, that's kind of genius. So quickly, the perfume is this crisp, very light and airy and wispy citrus fragrance. That's kind of it. That's what the fragrance is. This is one of those clean girl fragrances when it's hot in the summer and you just want to have a hint of scent on you without being overwhelming at all. It's actually like a little tiny bit, even astringent and citrus at the same time. And I can see that being appealing in heat. I made the mistake of wearing this on a day that it was still cool outside and it didn't hold its own. So we're going to try this again in the summer. I do like the scent. It is very light. It's, well, citrus, and I can also detect some florals. Maybe there's some rose in the middle of the fragrance as well. All right, so now we're going to go into the low, the middle, and the high. I'll try to do this fairly briefly. My low fragrance, I'm not sure if it's going to stay a low fragrance. Again, it might have been one of those days when I wore it and I just wasn't feeling it for whatever reason, because I've liked this before. Husband didn't like this on me either. This is from Rosendo Mateo. It's the number, oh, you can see me in there. Isn't that creepy? The number 3, Neroli, Iris, and White Musk. So I also want to say that I'm a little biased because the sprayer on this attacks me. Let me see if I can show you all what I'm talking about. Ready? I'm going to hold up a cloth here. Yeah, did y'all see that? Okay, let me do it here. Let me do it against my shirt. Can you see how it's like this stream? It's like, you're going to wear me today. Like it's angry at me when it spits out. So I was kind of mad at it. I'm like, why you gotta be so nasty to me? So anyway, since I've sprayed it on this, I'm like, really, do I want to play you and put you in the low category? I don't know. Maybe I need to take that back. I will just say that the part of this that wasn't vibing with me that day is that it has a little bit of an earthy backdrop that I just wasn't feeling against the other notes. I don't have anything against earthy fragrances. In fact, I have some earthy fragrances. I went through a whole phase where I wore nothing but herbaceous, wet dirt, and earthy types of fragrances. Like I went through a phase of that. So I don't know why that's bothering me now. So anyway, it's still pretty. I'm just going to leave it in the low category because like I wasn't vibing with it the day that I wore it. So next is the middle category, and stay with me. This is going to be one that starts off in the middle and then went to high. Okay, the next category. So this is Shocker Pure Poison from Dior. Poison, 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 poison. Dun, 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 dun. The situation is serious. Okay, sorry, name that band in the comments. I love this bottle. I think this bottle is probably one of the most creative in the collection. So let me tell you why it was medium, because I had a similar experience with this as I did with Rosendo Mateo number 3. Not the sprayer. The sprayer's fine, but when I sprayed it on the day that I wore it, I was like, oh, I used to love you. what is that Gwen Stefani song? Oh, actually, she's talking about her former husband. You used to love me. That's not how it goes, but something like that. The song where she's talking about how her husband used to love her, but he doesn't anymore. This is when she got divorced and then she married. What's the dude's name? The country singer, Blake Shelton. Did I just make up the dude's name? Anyway, Pure Poison. I put it on and thought, I used to love you. Why am I just okay with you today? Like, I didn't dislike it at all. I had a moment of that with number 3 where I was like, do I dislike you now? I didn't feel that way about Pure Poison. I wasn't thinking I dislike you. I was just thinking, oh, it wasn't quite the experience that I have remembered from the past, because this has made a lot of like my top floral videos, my clean and fresh video, all of that kind of thing. So here's why it went from middle to high. I put it on, I wore it. I thought I smelled fine. I didn't have anything against my own fragrance self that day. But then later that evening, I was thinking, why am I having this interesting experience with Pure Poison, a fragrance that I have loved for years? And I did the old trick. Y'all. It never fails me, where I spray it into the shower while the hot water's running. And so the steam of the shower carries the fragrance through the bathroom, into the bedroom, and sometimes out into the hallway, in the foyer and all that. And so I sprayed it and then I left. And I came back and I kept thinking, why does this room smell so good? What did I spray in here? And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, it's Pure Poison. And then I just like remembered the glory of it again. And so at this point, I'm going to move this from the middle category into the high category and continue talking about my other high fragrances. So good job, Pure Poison, of coming back around. All right, so the top fragrances of the month. I'm going to start with Amber Vanilla from 7 Virtues. Very simple bottle. They did bother to stamp the logo of the brand, the 7 Virtues. Oh gosh, I just realized there's a message on the cap. It says, make perfume, not war. Okay, vegan and cruelty-free. All right, so the fragrance is one of my favorite warm, cozy fragrances. This is a second skin sweater weather delight of a fragrance. To me, it actually smells a little bit like pencil shavings. Imagine fresh pencil shavings with a lot of warmth added onto it. Like cozy warmth. Yes, this has vanilla. It's amber vanilla. I wonder, I haven't looked at the notes in a while, but it does smell a little bit sandalwoody, maybe even a little ambroxan to me. It just has this beautiful, delightful second skin warmth to it that I enjoy. And a level of, I wouldn't say sweetness like in the gourmand direction, but it's tender. It's a tender fragrance. Pencil shavings and tenderness and warmth. Very warm fragrance. Lovely. I also wore Valentino Donna Born in Roma. This is the OG. I mean, this is like CHERE in Real Housewives of Atlanta. Who's going to check me, boo? Who's going to check me? So people have called this basic. Was it in somebody's trashy video? I don't remember. But, you know, it's been called names. It's been dragged through the YouTube streets as being too boring. I don't know what y'all are talking about. This is fabulous. And it's grown on me even more and more through the years. I had a travel spray of it at first and then purchased the full bottle. Oh my gosh. It's like 3 types of jasmine and then a heavy vanilla base to it, and also woody. Jasmine, vanilla, woods. I forget what the notes are at the top. It doesn't really matter. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, warm, feminine, has its sexy moments too, appealing. This is miscongeniality in the fragrance world. Fantastic. Fantastic. So the cousin of CHERE, or sister of CHERE that I was mentioning is going to come up later in the video, is also from Mizensir. It's called For Your Love. This is newer to the collection. Actually, both of them are newer. This is old school glamour. I mean, this could be called Hollywood glamour. This is your fabulous aunt from 1985 who doused herself in just enough fragrance so everybody in the room smelled her. And she was the like walking definition of fabulosity. That's not a word. I just made that up. Fabulosity in a fragrance. This one has some interesting notes. Raspberry, exaltone. Exaltone is this sort of like musky, warm, I would say kind of sort of like a hint of an animalic nature. It smells like warm, sensual skin. The heart is, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's cachalox. And I believe that it's supposed to give a sort of ambergris type of scent. Benzoin essence and patchouli in the base. It's just glamorous. It's glamorous. Oh, you know what this reminds me of? It just came to me. Givenchy Haute Couture. Except that the Haute Couture one There's an EDP and an EDT version. It has a little bit of a cigarette-y smell. This has nothing that is like that, but it has that same sort of like raspberry fruity tone that is deep and sensual in Haute Couture, that same kind of thing, with this just gorgeous patchouli, warm, glamorous thing to it. If you're into the powerhouse scents of the 80s and maybe even the early 90s, you might enjoy this fragrance, and I would say to give it a try. I also want to shout out Xerjoff Fire at Will. Wow, is this nice? And it's very simple. It's like, I just tossed the cap into the room somewhere. Ooh, ooh. It's like sponge sugar and cotton candy and vanilla all wrapped up into the most girly, feminine, light, playful scent. Doesn't last very long. Well, I shouldn't say it doesn't last very long. Excuse me. I get like a half a day out of it. I'm good with that. And then maybe you have to reapply. You have to enjoy gourmand fragrances and vanilla and sugary scents, but it's all of those things. It is like if cotton candy and sugar got married and created a perfume baby. Here you go. Fire at will. Delicious. I will end today's video with a powerhouse of a fragrance. I don't think this is for everyone. I happen to think it's beautiful and interesting and unique. And this is Abbrivio from Tiziana Terenzi, part of the Sea Stars collection. Ooh. Ah. This to me smells like the best parts of Herba Gold from Xerjoff in the yellow bottle, the sort of fruity, melony summer aspects of that, and then the fruity aspects of Dolce Melodia from Sospiro. The two of those combined with the typical Tiziana Terenzi musk base, which is one that you either love or you can't get down with it. I love it. And it has a little bit of woodiness in the base too. This has developed over time. I remember thinking when I first got this fragrance that it smelled more on the woody side, like a musky woodiness, and I got less of the fruitiness. And when I wore it this month, the fruity aspects of it came through more. I think this is gorgeous. Beautiful, deep, sultry, fruity nuance to it. And it's like a summertime melon fruit accompanied by that musk and the woodiness and that sort of typical Tiziana Terenzi DNA. The perfumer is Paolo Terenzi, the brother of the face of the fragrance, Tiziana. Fantastic, long lasting, beautiful. I think this would smell good on a gentleman as well, even though it has some feminine leaning aspects from the fruitiness, and then the woodiness is a bit masculine. But I think this would smell good on anyone. Long lasting, beautiful. Give this one a sniff if that type of DNA is your jam. All right, friends, so that brings me to the end of today's video. Remember to shop the So Avant Garde sale if that's your thing and you're interested in some things on that website. And we'll be talking about the Sephora sale coming up here nearer to the end of the week. Stay tuned for that. Thanks for hanging out with me today. If you're here to the end, drop us a little citrus emoji in the comments so we know you made it all the way to the end of this very long video. I appreciate you. Take care.